Hi, this is a video about the interesting things that you can do with a halving joint. It's another of those joints which you really cannot make on a router table, but which is safe and simple on the WoodRat. I can notch this piece, cut it halfway down and cut it the width of the other piece. And I do the same with this one, and they will fit together nicely and form a halving joint. If I take a wider rail and cut a single dado cut across it, get it right, single dado cut across and halfway down, and then I slice it through down the grain to make two pieces with identical notches, and they will fit together as long as the width of the pieces is the same as the width of the joint. Plane it down, make it a little bit bigger, and then plane it down. So that's the second way of making a halving joint. But what happens if you take a longer piece and give it more cross cuts and cut 3 cuts in it with an 8mm cutter, cutting across halfway down, and a smaller piece here which is similarly, it's got 3 cuts in it, they both have to have 3 cuts, and having cut them, I slice them off from the bandsaw in 8mm strips. That one's don't need that one. And similarly here, 1, 2, 3. That's another bit. Use those for spares. So now when I put these down, I should be able to put that into there, that into there, and that into there. And then these 2, 3 more will go into there, there. And there we have it. Structure. Transformed a plank or a piece into an item, a panel. Small but beautiful. The possibilities are endless. The length of your boards determine the size of the panel. The cross-cut cutter width determines the width of the ribs, and the thickness of the board determines the strength of the panel. So you can vary the depth of cut, the material that you use, the type of wood that you use, and the finish can be rough cut or finely polished. It's all up to you. All done with a simple cross cut repeated. This is the setup for the mortise rail. The mortise rail is in, and it's screwed to the sliding bar, so it moves left and right. And the plate here is set for guide rails, and the guide rails have the router moving forwards and backwards within them. It can be locked down at any point. I've put in a plate here which attaches to the large cursor, and it runs in the space, in the gap between the top and bottom runners, and it slides across the face of here and goes right out to the left. At the moment, though, we're concerned with holding things in the mortise rail, and I devised this, which is a batten of wood to hold the work. And it's raised up a little to make it just a bit proud of the flanges of the mortise rail, and it's got a groove in it that was for taking the long guide rail, but I decided in the end that it was simpler to attach pieces to the wood with a glue gun, and so that goes in there, and any workpiece can go in over the top, and by pushing up underneath to lay the workpiece flat on that plate, up against the plate. There we go. And now we need a quick shot with the glue gun, and the board is secured. Now we depth the bit to halfway through the board. What we need is a series of straight cuts right across a plank, halfway down it. Move it. The trick is not to break out at the edges. Drop the cutter in the back edge, pull forward, and drop the cut in the front edge and push back. Cutting an 8mm cross cut every 3/4 of an inch, I could get 17 slots in the plank, so I won't show you them all. You will, of course, need to cross cut 2 planks, and for a square pattern you will need to cut at the same pitch. This piece is done in rather unspecial pine wood, and with quite close cuts, so it can be a little tedious to do, but it'll look quite good because it'll all be quite close and square. At the end, you simply tap the piece and break the glue, and away it comes. When that's all done, slice the board into strips. And plane the board's either edge between slices. And saw them again, and so on, until you have a bundle of strips which all go through the planer, so that both sides are of equal width and clean. Of course, in the real world, one would just give them a little clever dab of glue before putting them together. You'll see how strong the construction gets as we go along. There are 17 strips and each one has 17 notches in it. That makes a total of 289 joints. This piece was done with the warp and the weft, as it were, equally spaced. If it is unequal, the effect is different. Here are two others and our square pattern on the right. It is much nicer working in hardwood. Here, an 8mm bit at greater depth going through some mahogany. It is sawn in the same way, just a little wider than the crosscut, planed up, one clean side of each strip. Then planed again by hand to fit. This is my little collection of Japanese netsuke. I'm afraid they're replicas, but they're rather good replicas of the pieces in the British Museum, I think. And so they're framed. While on the Japanese theme, I thought I'd have a shot of the shoji screen. Something simple. Karen has a problem with the sunshine making it impossible to read her computer. It needs shading. The sun, of course, keeps shifting its trajectory, so we have to keep moving with it. That goes onto there. Good square on. Rice paper came in a day, but Tesco's had no rice flour, so I thought I'd make my own rice paste by boiling basmati rice. Boiled it and I boiled it, but still it remained lumpy, as you can see. I suppose there's no substitute for 2,000 years of craft tradition. So I have to apologise for my so many years of grand old British amateurism. But I have to say that it stuck the paper to the wood and dried invisible, and the paper's as tight as a drumstick. Very nice the way it slides into place, and then I can tap it down. That's it. This is the screen in situ.
Done?
Yep.
It seemed a bit better.
It was better. We got the method. This is a saddle horse for my daughter. The leatherwork is from a really top saddler. Seemed just the challenge for a WoodRat. This is a shelf that we put in above the front door, and it takes all the hats in the house that were all wandering about, and so we collected them together, and it's nice because you can see through and see what's up there. Here's Dolly Parton's hat, and that lives up there on there as well. This is a lighting rig that I made for above our dining table out in the glass house. The vine is amazing. It has leaves in February, fruits in early July, and gives wonderful black grapes. That's it at night.